MyMac Podcast 948. Tell me a story.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's mighty MyMac Podcast. Well, we've already talked about our predictions for next week's Apple event. Well, we did it last week. We did that on purpose since a lot of people wouldn't have heard us until after the event if we did it this week. So what have we got for today? How about some CarPlay audio apps? Sure. Why not? How are you, Guy?
Whoops. Come on. There we go. All right. Good. No bouncing. Just I couldn't quite get it all together. Yeah. Go. I'm doing just fine, Gaz. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, was my birthday. So happy birthday to me. And
birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Guy. Oh, wait a minute. No, hang on a minute. Happy birthday, dear
Guy.
Yeah.
Guy.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, unknown person who says Guy a lot. And I say woo, 63 years young, and like Peter Pan, never quite figured out how to grow up. But it's okay, Gaz, because I have surrounded myself with people more than happy to do the grown-up thing around me, and maybe in spite of me. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
I'd agree. I'd agree with that, definitely. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, just my wife is constantly like, when are you going to grow up? And it's like, no.
I've got to say, we went to an event over the weekend. So we went with some friends to what is called the Goodwood Revival. Now, Goodwood used to be a very famous racetrack here in the UK, and it still has...
What kind of racing?
Car racing.
Okay.
Motor vehicles. So bikes and, cars and any other motorized vehicle. But they have the Goodwood Festival of Speed just before the Grand Prix each year. And that basically is a really well-attended event. And they have it the week before Silverstone very often because all of the Formula One teams go there, and a lot of, the driving fraternity go there as well. And they do all sorts of concentrated car and speed stuff and races.
Yeah, fun stuff.
Hill climb, fun stuff. Now they do the fun stuff again at the event that we went to this last weekend. Well, we went on Friday, and it happened actually over the weekend. So it'll still be happening today as we record, to be honest with you, because it's a long weekend stuff. But it's called Goodwood Revival. And I'll tell you what, Guy, a lot of people dress up, and we were going to dress up as well, and it can be any sort of uniform or any sort of, 50s, 60s, 40s, 20s dress, people just dress up. And I was amazed at just how many dress up, and they even get their kids to dress up as well.
Nice.
And do you know what?
Tell me.
It's a bit of a malaise on our society, to be honest with you, but everybody looks smart and everybody had a smile on their face. So people, when you go out, dress up a bit. It might put a smile on your face.
Well, was there like any sponsors for the event?
Oh, there's plenty of sponsors, but it's not, the sponsorship isn't full in your face because it's all old cars and old bikes and, it's just revival stuff. There's lots of different stalls and there's one or two big car manufacturers there, but not all of them. And it was just...
who missed a good bet for not sponsoring that event?
Tell me.
Viagra.
Huh?
Goodwood Revival, sponsored by Viagra.
Do you know, I wouldn't have actually pulled that out the bag at any time, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's how my mind works.
Yeah, with that, I'm jumping straight into Gazzy snippets.
Wait. Hold on. Go back.
Hang on. Yeah, I've got to reverse twice now.
There we go. I was going to tell you, and we started to talk about this before we started to record, but I decided I wanted to save it for the show.
Okay.
I bought myself a birthday present.
Oh, you did say, and I said to you, is it a mic?
It was not a microphone, and it was not related at all to audio.
Steps back in
I know.
amazement.
And I've come to the
don't believe you.
conclusion after all these years that I probably have enough microphones and audio interfaces and everything
Say
else.
it ain't so. Say it
and
ain't so.
headphones and everything else that's related to audio. Because now the whole family is like, oh, so you bought more audio gear. And it's like, well, yeah. And they're like, why? I've talked somewhat at length about some of the idiosyncrasies of my brothers and sisters as they've gotten older.
Right.
And
right.
I sat there and I thought about it, and it was like, well, I'm not quite to that age yet. And thank goodness I don't have such these weird little quirks. And then I thought about it some more, and it's like, well, for the last 15 years, you have bought a crap ton of microphones, a crap ton of interfaces, a crap ton of headphones, a crap ton of everything related to audio that you use once or twice. And then you say, well, I like this other thing better. And then you never use it again.
Yeah.
What is that but an obsession?
You used a word there that reminded me of the place that we were stopping at in Portsmouth, which is quite close to Goodwood, and it takes about 30 minutes to get there.
Sponsored by Viagra.
Apparently. And it was a quirky place. Now, there were 3 couples and 1 guy there, and we said to the chap, you can have the nice bedroom at the top. What we didn't realize was in this bedroom at the top, in this quirky house, and when I say quirky, it was a very, very old building, very old. There was even a step which was on a flap, which you had to lower to step onto it to get up to the steps to get to the 3rd floor, I think it was.
I like this place already.
Now, the reason there was a step with a flap was because when you walk past the flap, there's the bathroom in front of you. But you need the flap to go up because obviously what would happen in the night when all of us oldies were trying to sleep, we'd be getting up and going, ow, as we walked into this step flap to go to the loo. Now, there is a toilet on the 3rd floor, so he didn't have to come down, so he wouldn't have fallen down that big step at the end. So all's good. That's just one of the quirkiness. His bedroom, actually, you walked from the middle of the room to the end of the room, and the ceiling came down because the floor went up, which made you feel taller. Quirkiness all over the place. And in his bedroom, there were 3 or 4 books. On the side of the bed was a book titled Nudes, 1,000 Nudes.
I really like this place.
The Kama Sutra was on the shelf, along with The Joy of Sex. That was one of the reasons, because he was on his own, why we gave him that room.
And no one ever heard from him again.
We didn't see him until the end of the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not coming out. I'm not coming out. Go away.
Anyway, we will now get, if I have permission, to go to Gaz's snippets.
Oh, wait. Do you realize I still haven't said what the gift was?
Oh, you haven't? It's true. It's not audio connected. And I moved on. And you went through all that spiel. I moved on to quirkiness and you still didn't tell anybody. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Wouldn't that have been if we had just recorded the entire show? Gaz.
Ah, right.
But if we
I was trying to pretend a bit of memory loss there. So
who?
Move on.
Okay. But if we'd gone through like the entire show and said, okay, I'm going to tell you what it was, we never do. And then the whole audience is like, well, what the hell was it? What's going on?
I listened to this whole damn show and they never told us what it was.
They never told us what the gift was.
That's a very good ploy, though, to be honest with you.
It would be. Yeah. Well, how's it go? How do you keep someone stupid in suspense? I'll tell you later. So anyway, but moving past that.
Yeah.
Not that we're okay.
Yeah.
So
I've got a joke on that. So
okay.
why did the chicken cross the road?
I don't know.
To see stupid. Knock knock.
Who's there?
The chicken.
The chicken who?
You don't get it, do
you? Okay. The gift.
Yeah.
The gift. Now, I have a 16-inch M1 MacBook Pro, so I don't
Mhm.
need a new laptop. I'm
No.
still extremely happy with my M1 Mac Mini, my iPhone 13. Obviously, you're not going to go out and buy, at least anybody with any common sense wouldn't go out and buy. Ooh, nice. A, a
It's hot
new,
here. It's hot. That's why
I
I'm
bet,
getting this.
a new iPhone, just a few days before the next iPhone event. So I thought about it. And it was like, I have my iPad Pro is like 5 years old. And it's the one thing I have that isn't from like the aughts or the 2020s.
Right.
And so I looked online and Apple was willing to give me almost $300 for the 2018 one.
Wow.
And I could have gotten
Oh.
more for it if I did it through various, whatevers. But it was like, you know what? It's not worth it for all the hassle for a few dollars more, said Clint Eastwood.
I was just gonna jump in on that.
I know. So I went ahead and I got myself a new iPad Pro, 512.
Okay.
With 512 memory iPad Pro.
Nice.
And I hadn't, obviously, because I've had that for 5 years, I haven't updated a new iPad Pro in a very, very long time. And just had it connected to power, and it said, well, do you want me to go to, this backup from a few days ago for your old iPad? It was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And it just did it. And when I opened it up a few hours later, it was like, well, you're looking just like my old iPad Pro.
Why did I
with
get
all the
rid of
same
old
apps
one?
and everything? But yeah, the
Well done.
changeover
Great.
was easy.
Smooth and easy. Yeah.
It was.
Well,
okay.
Now I'd like to go to finally, and that's quite apt actually, because there's not so many Gazzy snippets this week. So we're going to jump right in. He says, hopefully, waiting to be rebuffed. No! Apple acquires 50-year-old leading record label to bolster Apple Music Classical. Yeah,
okay.
That's not much more to say on that. Apple
well,
says,
honestly, but before we move on, we were talking about this on Dave Ginsburg in Touch with iOS on Thursday, and I was kind of like, maybe Apple has learned a lesson from iTunes and from Apple TV, where they didn't really have much in the way of content, and it kind of hurt them early on. So they've got this new service now with Apple Classical Music, and they're doing what they can to preload quite a bit of content onto it at the beginning, instead of doing that, oh, well, just wait and see, and there'll be plenty of content later on. But yeah, they seem to be going out of their way to add a lot more content early in the process, which is a good idea.
Next story.
Yes, sorry.
You was almost cognizant in that,
I won't do it again.
Apple says iMessage service is not popular enough to be gatekeepers under EU's new Digital Markets Act, rather.
Yeah, well, the Digital Marketing Act is kind of bollocks. Different.
Yeah, but
for Apple to say that their platform.
Will you let me finish?
Yes.
Will you let me finish? Platforms with an annual turnover of more than 7.5 billion, a market cap above 75 billion, and active monthly users in the EU of 45 million will fall under these rules, though Brussels does have some discretion over the designation beyond those metrics, apparently. But to your point that you was going to make, for Apple to say that it's not popular, I think in the EU that might be more apt, because the thing is, I don't think people know exactly what the usage is, because I don't just use messages, because I do use messages. Other US podcasts out there saying that all Europeans do not use messages. We do, actually, or iMessage. We do a lot because it's cheap.
And it's encrypted.
But we also use lots of other app messaging services as well, integrated, lots and lots. And I think that's where, a lot of people just mix and match. However, WhatsApp in Europe is got a massive usage, absolutely massive. And I think WhatsApp, because of its ease of use when it comes to cross-platform, is why that's really taken off over here. Apple iPhone owners are 7.4 times more valuable than Android users. These stories keep coming up, periodically. And I'm not sure who pushes these out and why they push them out. I've got a feeling it may well be Apple in the background hinting at this guy, because obviously it does make their platform that much more incentivized for people to stick with it in terms of app developers, etc.
Yeah, but the problem is that also feeds right into the EU's narrative as far as like messaging and some of the other applications that they want to start to regulate.
Well, other stuff, not the messages, but other stuff, certainly. Yeah. Apple has signed a new long-standing deal with ARM for making silicon chips, because obviously ARM is a company that's got the I'm not sure, it's the IP behind the architecture, isn't it?
Yes.
And obviously the ARM architecture is used in pretty much nearly every mobile device across the world. Anyway, they've got a new deal. Go on. You was going to say something.
I was just going to say, and there's a lot of companies that branch out and make their own chip designs based on the ARM architecture.
Yeah, correct.
It doesn't necessarily mean that, it basically means they don't have to start from scratch and trying to create a processor. They start with ARM and they either improve it or customize it for whatever their usage is going to be.
Absolutely.
Cognizant. That's the word of the day.
It is, isn't it? Apple may launch new products in its retail stores right after the September 12 event. Now, initially I thought, What? Don't they do that always? However, when I read into this story a little bit more, what it was trying to say was that the stores may well have the items in their store the day after, rather than maybe not available until online a little later. Now, I have a feeling Apple don't like doing that. They like products to be available to everyone at around the same time. So we'll wait and see what happens there.
I'm going to guess that there's going to be new iPad Pros, and the one I just bought will lose half of its value. But go ahead.
Well,
hey, live and learn.
You win some, you lose some. Yeah, that's a similar story. That was the iPhone users spend 7 times more than apps on Android users. So, the future of iMessage is safe in the UK as our government has now backed down on encryption. Now, I think...
For now.
No, full stop. Guy, full stop. Well, it is for now, but basically it's for now forever. So they kind of came back and said, oh, no. We can still do this backdoor stuff. It's just that the technology isn't there yet.
What?
The technology isn't there yet to do it safely. Because
and if they have access to your phone, and I mean physical access to your phone, it doesn't.
Oh yeah. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that they wanted to be able to go into every iMessage if they wanted to.
They wanted.
Yeah. And Apple said, no, we'll withdraw iMessage from the UK, as did a lot of other companies say that they would, like WhatsApp as well. And they suddenly realized that this backdoor thing is possibly not quite as easily as they thought maybe it was. And they have embarrassed themselves a little bit. But that's pretty par for the course for our government and pretty much every
government.
Yeah. Plus every other party in this country as well. Apple's 11-inch iPad Pro is now the company's best-selling iPad, Guy.
Really? Not for me.
Not for you. You've proved them wrong.
That's right. Oh,
Now,
and my Magic Keyboard works with
yes.
it, with the brand new one.
Ooh, that's like milky. Yeah. Mac users have been hit by an atomic stillware malware via malicious Google search ads. Gaz's tip here, nods head quickly, don't play music. How to protect against the atomic Mac OS stealer. Okay. It is a specific attack and it is very preventable. Don't download software from trusted or untrusted or unknown sources. Be wary if an app asks you to bypass the macOS gatekeeper protections. If you do want to download an app outside the Apple's Mac App Store, check when the website was created. So these are a few basic stuff, tips kind of that you should be doing. But yeah,
Anyway.
that's... Yeah. I won't go into where this come from. It's basically it's a Google search ad stuff, and you get thrown these
and
stuff.
it like you talk about where it came from, and then next week it's coming from a different direction. So there's really no point.
Yeah.
Just get your apps from the usual places, and if it asks you to bypass gatekeeper, be very careful.
Very careful, everybody. Apple stock has suffered the worst stock decline in a month after the CCP iPhone ban. The Chinese Communist Party have barred government staff in China from using Apple iPhone and other foreign branded devices at work.
Well, I wonder why.
Yeah, what can I say?
Yeah. But they do say is go out and get Huawei, because Huawei is totally safe, complete, if you live in China.
Now, I can't put these in order, but I've actually come back to the UK, drops the spy clause for scanning encrypted chat, and admits it's not feasible. Yes. Yeah, you silly people. Now, this I found quite interesting, and I'm going to use it actually as my tip later. I'm going to widen it a little bit. It says, when I'm buying why I'm buying an iPhone 14 as soon as the iPhone 15 arrives. And I'm just going to do that as a bit of a tip later, to be honest with you, and talk about it, if that's okay. Sure. macOS Ventura 13.5.2 update is now available, so go out and update. iOS 16.6.1, macOS Ventura 13. I've just mentioned, and iPad OS 16.6.1, and I think there's a watch update as well that's come out.
Yes,
there's been some malicious, various nasties out there.
Do not hesitate to get these downloads, because it's to help to prevent some of the nasties that we've been talking about.
News very quiet this week, because I've seen tons and tons and tons of full iPhone 15 lineups camera specs leaked, and loads of other stuff on that. There was just tons out there, so I couldn't really not mention the fact that most people is probably going to know what's coming next week, unless they're doing the dirty on us.
Roll the dice.
Yeah, and that nasty was actually, it's come from the Pegasus group, I think, the NSO group. But that has now been, I think that's been fixed with the 16.6.1 update. Apple have been warned by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau on Apple Pay. The US Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has warned tech giants about being overly restrictive in access to payment apps, taking an explicit shot at Apple's Apple Pay.
Isn't there a reason why they do it that way?
Who do what way?
Why Apple has such restrictions on using Apple Pay?
Well, yes. It all depends on who they're wanting to give the access to. And that's the thing. So it basically, they were talking about... Yeah, so to your point, you're correct, because they are trying to block too much... too much open ecosystems, I think is the terminology I'm looking for. Now, if it's stopping access, because I've got to say that the problem with Apple Pay, it's not a problem. We don't have Apple Pay like you have over there in the US. We've got the wallet, and we can use Apple Pay, but the Apple Pay that we're using is basically utilizing the credit cards that we've already got.
Yeah.
Whereas you can actually have an Apple Pay account. So
yes,
I suppose
but we can also use whatever credit cards that we have in the wallet.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to double back here because I started down an avenue. I turned left. I should have turned right. I went straight on. But you're right, Guy. Do you know there's too much common sense coming out of you today?
I know. I don't know what's wrong with me.
It's completely
don't expect this every
me.
week, Gaz.
It's
do not expect this every
It's
week.
completely throwing me. And you're not being nasty or really going off on a tangent. You're just being very down the middle. Yeah. So to your point, yes, they are trying to make sure that there's not too much openness because obviously they want to keep it secure.
Yeah. This is what happens when you hit 63. You become straight on to the point.
Apple retail staff have been drilled to recommend iPhone 15 USB-C charging accessories at the point of sale. So if you go into the shop to get an iPhone, be prepared for the hard sell. I'm not sure it's going to be quite the hard sell that they're kind of reporting on here, but
yeah. Well, most people should start looking into wireless charging at this point.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of wireless charging because
in my car I am not. But
yeah,
I mean, that's that. Basically, when I go to bed at night, I have a wireless charger. I just put my phone and my watch on it, and when I get up in the morning, they're charged. So
cool.
It's all good.
Again, more sense and sensibility from you. Apple backs California bill that would require stricter emissions reporting. Apple has come out in support of a new bill in California that would require companies to reveal more information about climate emissions from supply chain partners. Yes, that's kind of their thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, kind of is.
And again, I've got another one here: iPhone 15, iPhone 15 Pro, complete weights and dims. It just kept coming up in my line. I thought, what is going on here? This is going to be very boring. Why would anyone
care how much it weighs?
Now, I think I put that in front of this one because this one shows just how much, I'll say it, Macworld has fallen. And it says here, can't wait for the iPhone 15 event. Read the entire keynote script before it happens. Right now, I'm going to have a go at them here. By an astonishing coincidence, Macworld sleuths have stumbled across the video rehearsal for yet another Apple keynote presentation. Blah, 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 blah. Sentence after this. The last time we did this, some people didn't realize it was fake until after the WWDC keynote. While we can't vouch for the validity of the document we've pilfered, we can vouch for the gullibility of the internet.
Then why even do it?
Correct. So you're treating all of your readers to be complete and utter dumbasses because you've done this and then put in just a sentence. Oh, you're all dumbasses because you're reading this. Macworld, you've fallen a long way. And as of now, they are now no longer in my feed. Delete.
Good. Oh, is that the end of Gaz's snippets? Oh, okay.
Yeah, but now I've got a Gaz's link. Or have I? I might have closed the link up now. I might not have. No, I haven't. I haven't got a Gaz's link.
There was one, but then there wasn't.
Yeah. There was
now
one.
It's gone.
Now it's gone.
Okay, well then let's talk about some CarPlay apps. Originally, Gaz, what I had intended to do was open this up to a very broad discussion about all the different types of CarPlay apps. And I started with audiobooks. And by the time I got like about knee high into it, it was like, okay, we'll be here for hours if we go across the entire board. And nobody wants that. So instead, for this week, and we will revisit this.
And I don't want it either because it's flipping hot here.
Yeah, I bet it is. I saw the fan that you pulled out earlier. So we're going to concentrate this week just on some, and this isn't a comprehensive list. This is just a few of the ones that you might want to consider, audiobook apps that also use CarPlay. And of course, you can use Apple's.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a
Sure.
question here? Do all
Yeah.
of these appear in CarPlay when you've got it connected?
No, you have to go and get some of these through the App Store.
No.
On your phone.
What I mean is when you put because not all apps will show up on CarPlay, but all of these will, I'm assuming.
All of these will. These will.
Cool.
So, of course, you can use Apple's own Books app to read existing books in your library or to purchase others. But there are quite a few other audiobook apps, and they are all free to use, but some will require subscriptions or paid downloads for most new content. And one thing that I did notice on all of these, you cannot, other than Apple's own Books app, you cannot purchase books directly from the application. You have to put them like in this wish list, and then there's a link in the app to go out of the App Store to purchase it directly through there. And of course, the reason why they do that is so that they don't have to give Apple 15% of the sales. And I understand it, but it's, for some of these guys, it's an extra step that most people probably aren't going to do. So, are you, and frankly, what I would have done was just said, okay, well, you can purchase this here, but it's going to cost X amount, or you can go to this other link and purchase it there for X amount. And I think that would have satisfied both Apple and the people that use these apps. But let's talk about the apps themselves. The first one that I want to talk about is the Google, and I didn't even know this one existed, Google Play Books. And I probably shouldn't be surprised that this exists, because Google, of course, has apps for everything.
Yes.
They don't necessarily keep them around forever, but they do have apps for everything. So this will play anything purchased from your Google account. I couldn't see a way to add books from your existing library, which is kind of a fail. You can't purchase from the app, as I said, and there is lots of information shared. I mean, a ton of information shared that has absolutely nothing whatsoever with books or playing books or listening to books or any of that. And of course, it's because Google loves your info. They slurp it up like nobody's business. Another one that I think is standard is the Audible app. And this will play anything from your Amazon Audible account. It's $16 for a monthly subscription fee, which also gets you one free book a month that's yours to keep, even if you cancel the subscription. And of course, you can't purchase from the app. One thing I did like about the Audible app is, besides listening to books, you could also subscribe to podcasts and a few other audio related content that they had kind of hooks in that you could go and grab content from other sources as well. Now, these next two were kind of interesting. It's Libby and Hoopla. They're both free to use. And when I say free, I mean completely and totally free as far as the books go, if you have a local library card. You won't have the latest and the greatest and newer books, because they have kind of limited availability based on how many copies are allowed in your local library and how many people are in the queue ahead of you, which kind of cracked me up, because we're talking about digital files. So there's really no limit to how many digital files you can have out there. But because these are public libraries, and a lot of these books, whether they're hard copy or digital, are donated from the manufacturers, from the publishers to libraries, they kind of say, all right, if people want to download these to listen to them, that's fine, but you can only have so many out at any given time. So you basically need to, I'm trying to remember how I finally got this to work. It was really kind of a pain in the neck. So you download the app, you tell it which library you have an active account in, and then it goes to that account through your local library, and you have to sign into your local library account as well as have an account with Libby or Hoopla. And then once you've done that, you can scroll through, do a search for the books that you want to read, and chances are there's only going to be 2 or 3 available digital copies for those books. So you may have to get into a queue if other people are already, waiting to get that book.
Bit like a library.
Yeah, exactly like a library. But it is free. You don't have to buy anything.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's really cool. I think a lot of people forget about utilizing their libraries. Now, you might have to check in your local country as to whether this is still available, but certainly, yes. I think I've got a feeling I might have looked at that over here. I'm not sure whether it's the same over here or not, but cool.
Do you have a local library card or library account?
I don't know, because I haven't been to the library for many years, but it's whether that service is available over here or not.
Well, it is available in the States. I can't speak to if it's available elsewhere.
So check locally, folks.
Yes. The next one is Barnes & Noble. This is, of course, a brick and mortar bookstore. It has search capabilities to find most of the current books, but there's no way to do, as I said, an in-app purchase. You must go to the store through a browser to buy and then add it to your library. It will also help you find the nearest Barnes & Noble physical store, and it has a way for you to purchase items from that store without going through the line, which, if you're that crazy about going through lines, then I guess this is the app for you. And basically you'll have a bunch of people going, stop that man, as you try to leave. No, look, I paid it on my phone, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, if that's how you want, and Barnes and Nobles usually has like coffee shops and stuff like that. That's with it too. So I guess you could go ahead and pay for your stuff through the app, or of course Apple Pay, or however it is that you normally would do it. But I kind of think that Barnes and Noble and a lot of these brick and mortar stores that have applications have missed a bet by not allowing people to purchase it through the application, because I think otherwise people would be like, well, then I can use Google Play, or I can use Books, or I can use Audible, or I can use any of these other ones, and it's all going to be kind of the same thing. Now, this next one was kind of a surprise in the way that it was laid, not so much in the content that you could get from it, but in the way it was laid out. And this is audiobooks.com. And the reason why it was a bit of a surprise is they have a free section, and the free section isn't like nearly impossible to find. And that surprised me. So the books that you can get that are free are certainly not the latest or the most popular.
No.
But to have a service with free downloads that's easy to find is pretty amazing. So if you want to just peruse, and you can do it through authors, you can do it through genres, you can do it. There's like all different types of filters that you can use in the free section to figure out what it is that you want to get. And again, this is in the States. I don't know what the rules are outside of the US, but if I was going to recommend any of these applications, audiobooks.com would be the application that I would recommend that you use beyond just the Books account. And I could not figure out if there was a way to add books that you already have in your library to to audiobooks.com. But most of these are somewhat restricted that way. I did buy a book in Google Play just to see how easy it was to do. And I will listen to that book because it was like $14, $15. I won't say what the book was, but it wasn't the Kama Sutra, and it wasn't 1,000 nudes, though if I had known they existed, I might have got that instead. So just kidding. I'm just kidding. Sort of. But yeah, so of all of the things that I've listed out today, and there's many more besides this, you may find one that you prefer otherwise. But audiobooks.com was a pretty good app, and I highly recommend it, especially if you want to try some new and different stuff.
Cool.
And I think that's it, Gaz.
Yeah, I would say that certainly over here, I utilize the BBC app on my phone because they've got basically an app called Sounds, I think it is. And there are lots of different podcasts and radio shows which they change into podcasts, and it's a little bit like the iPlayer. You know, they keep all of their back catalog on there.
Yeah.
And you know, you can go through it, and I'm always picking up really interesting stuff, and sometimes there's stories on there and audiobooks on there as well. So you know, if you're into a service like that, check that and put it on, because you may find that it'll automatically come up as a car phone app as well, because a CarPlay app. Yeah, because the Sounds app certainly did. So yeah, check that out as well. But
I
cool.
wonder if that's available here.
You might have to subscribe to it. Yeah, you might have to subscribe to it and pay for it because it's outside the UK.
Yeah, but that would still be a lot of really great content. Oh, before we get off this, one other thing that I saw was, you know, one thing that has kind of become diminished as podcasts and that type of content has become more and more popular has been regular radio. And what I'm now starting to see is a lot of, at least here in the States, a lot of FM radio stations now have their own apps, which include a live component. Yep. So if, you know, you moved from South Florida to Washington, D.C., you know, why anybody would do that, I have no idea. But if you started off in one place and then moved to another place and you kind of feeling homesick for, you know, where you're from originally, check some of these FM radio apps and see if there's one from the area that you grew up in.
Cool. Love it.
We will come back and visit this topic again as far as CarPlay apps goes. And but you can see why I decided to just do audiobooks. Hey, are you nodding your head? You are.
Hit it. Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
Mostly.
Gaz's tips.
It's time for
Gaz's tip.
So this is a bit of a no-brainer, really, but it just make you think about it, because we've talked about this before, Guy, in terms of the fact that a lot of the products that are now coming out are incremental updates to the previous version. Now, I'm looking to change and upgrade my phone this year, but I'm going to do a very, very careful comparison and Apple do a really good comparison website, but I'm going to do a very careful comparison on what's new and what's upgraded and what I really need in the next variant of the device that I'm looking to. The reason I say it like that, because it could be the watch, it could be an iPad, it could be a phone, it could be whatever. In this case, it may well be the watch and or the phone. And the reason I say that is because very often what Apple do is they will drop the price of their previous year's devices to quite a reasonable degree. So rather than desperately, unless you want the absolute newest and what comes out this year, then fair enough. But if you want to say, actually, do I really need that? Because I've noticed there are a few things around the iPhone 14, which I haven't got on the iPhone 13. And I'm thinking, maybe I could go for a higher version of the older device rather than having to drop down, because we all know the price is going to go up. And, you know, in this tight environment that we're all in at the moment, it might be an idea just to see what the value is of those items on the new devices that you're looking for. So just go onto the website. Don't jump in straight away and put your orders in. have a look at those comparison websites, and also watch out if you're in a country where they're doing zero finance as well, for zero interest finance, because hey, it's kind of free money. They're letting you pay it off on a monthly basis. If you were going to use that money anyway, just pop it in the bank and then pay it off that way. If you want to, of course, if you want to. No financial advice here, but definitely have a comparison on the last year's phone if you're a few phones back, because obviously if you've got last year's phone and you want to upgrade this year's, there's no point in doing the comparison.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that last bit?
I would agree with that.
That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
There we go. Okay. Real quick, if you have a few extra shekels sitting around, go ahead and donate to the Ukrainian Red Cross or Doctors Without Borders. There will be links in the show notes to both of those fine organizations. Gaz, it's been a while.
I know.
But I actually have a for pick's sake this week.
And I'm impressed.
I know. And it came from a weird place. That is not a surprise. So the thing that I'm going to talk about today, and if you watch the video, you'll get to see it, is the Supon multifunction tripod camera clip clamp. Ooh, say that 10 times fast. With a 1/4 inch threaded screw mount. And this is what it looks like. You can see it. So this is your 1/4 inch threaded screw mount. You've got a ball joint there that you can move it to anything. And of course it'll clamp on to just about anything. It can be used with microphones, and I have used this with microphones before, with a 1/4 to 5/8 inch adapter. I use it for, of course, I can't show it to you, but both of my desk lights, I use it for those, and then I just have like
lots of devices come with a 1/4 inch camera adapter on them because everybody's got them. So yeah.
Right. And honestly, microphones are really the only thing that uses like the 3/8 and 5/8 size.
Yeah.
I also use it as a headphone rest, which is weird. And I'll tell you how I came to this. Now, this right here, if you're watching this on video, this is what your typical headphone rest looks like. It's got a little desk clamp here. And
so it's got a little U clamp with obviously the thread on it, so you can clamp it to the table, and then it's got a little bar that comes from out of that U clamp where presumably you put your headphones.
Yeah, and it's got like a little kind of dip on either side of it.
Yeah,
because of course that's what headphones do. Yeah. The problem with this is, number one, it's $15, which kind of, when I realized that, was kind of like, oh, why did I buy that for $15? Is that it's flat. So if you accidentally bump your headphones or you bump your desk, there's a very good chance that the headphones are just going to slip right off of it and fall to the floor. Whereas with this upside down, when you clamp it onto your desk, there's a little incline that's right there. So if you accidentally bump your headphones or you bump your desk, your headphones aren't just going to go sliding off of it, and it's going to be good to go. Plus, as an added bonus, it's $10 as compared to the $15 specialty made headphone mount. You've got this right here that you can use for lights. You can use it for cameras. You can use it as a headphone jack. It's kind of a jack of all trades and
well done.
Of everything.
Well done. I like it. I like a jack on the
so, and it's $5 less. I've got like 3 or 4.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with your pick's sake.
I like it. So that's my for pick's sake for this week. Do you have anything, or are we just moving on?
No, you've just embarrassed me. That's fine.
Okay, good. Okay, glad to know that it served a couple of different purposes. We don't have any feedback this week. I did look on both Skype and the Google Voice number, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I hadn't looked at Skype for a couple of weeks, and when I did go over to Skype to look, there was a ton of people going, well, you'll be my friend. And they all had things like, Bitcoin master and, and all this. It's like, oh, come on, guys. So just before we started the show, I spent a lot of time going block, 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 but there were no actual messages from real people who might want to contribute to the show. But maybe next week, someone, hint, 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 will call in to our two various numbers, which we will talk about later in the show. Later. And give us some feedback. And remember, if this is your first time giving us feedback, or if you've done an iTunes review and we speak about it on the show, and you have to tell us, especially if you're from another country, because we don't have access to all of those. If you do a review, tell us about it. We will read it on the show, and you will get a woo T, which is big W, big O, big T, little I, little E, exclamation mark. That spells Woody. And I almost forgot, but we did get a contribution from dear friend of the show, Christoph Trausch, who has contributed many times before. And thank you, Christoph. And I know every single time I butcher the crap out of your name, and I'm very, very sorry. It's not on purpose. It's because I'm Guy. Okay. So just keep that in mind when you sit there and go, I gave him money and he didn't say my name right. It's not you.
It's
me.
Guy.
It's me. It's Guy. So thank you. Thank you all. We really appreciate everything that you do for us. So, but if you want to contact us, Gaz, I know that there are ways they can, that especially Christoph can contact you and go, what the hell is wrong with Guy? How would they do that?
Ever so easy. Send an email to gazjz at mymac.com or on the social environments, X, Mastodon, Counter Social, what's the Meta one? All of those. And I'm generally Gazmaz. You can find me under Mastodon as Gazmaz at c.im and on X or Twitter as Gazmaz. Which is GAZ-MAZ. You can also contact both Guy and Gaz on X, Twitter, whatever it is. Twitter.com/ or x.com/Guy and Gaz, GYANDGAZ. You can also send an email to feedback at mymac.com, FWDBACK at mymac.com.
His name was Guy. Guy.
Yeah!
Guy.
Guy?
Guy.
My guy?
Your Guy. Your Guy. It's you.
Yeah. I love you.
Guy.
Guy?
You remember Guy? Guy's the one.
He's the guy. Pay no attention to that guy behind the curtain.
Guy says,
No fooling.
No, thank you. Oh, my
If
life
you-
is fulfilled.
If you want,
An email from Guy.
how would they do it?
Oh, all you would have to do is go to the mail app of your choice, and then in the send box, just type in Guy at mymac.com. You can also, don't send it to podcast@vertshark.com because I've let that lapse, and I'm not going to mention it after today because it was costing me money and nobody was using it anyway. So it's like, all right, screw that noise. You can go on over to vertshark.com and find stuff that's there. There's stuff there.
That was the best sell of a website I have ever
Oh boy.
heard.
Wow, I'm
Yeah,
going to go
you
to
can-
vertshark.com and see stuff.
Yeah. God knows what stuff I'm going to see, but there's going to be stuff.
It won't be 1,000 nudes or the Kama Sutra. I'll tell you that right now. Guaranteed.
Oh, dear.
You can also find me on the socials. I am both Mac Pettit and Vertshark over there on the Zwitters, X-Switters. It's X.com, I guess now. What else? I guess that's really. I
think we might have a number.
Well, I'm also Mac Parrot on Counter Social and Mastodon.social. So you can do those things too. We have a couple of telephone numbers. Yes, we do. And if you're trying to sell Bitcoin, do not call 1 or +1 outside the United States, 703-436-9501. Don't call if you're a Bitcoin dude or gal or gender of choice. 1 or +1. I don't discriminate against people who sell Bitcoin. I hate them all. It was 1 or +1, 703-436-9501. And we have yet another number that Gaz is going to tell you about right now.
703-828-4677. One more time. 703-828-4677.
And I'm actually thinking about retiring the Skype number. So we may just be talking about the Google Voice number going into the future.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, big news. You heard it here first. Like it matters. If we would like to say thank you to everyone who downloads and listens to the MyMac.com podcast. We love you all. Thank you.
We do.
Thank you so much. And Gaz, I think that this week we were good enough. And for the okay. And also that we were smart enough.
You were well, definitely.
I was cognizant boy. That would be my superpower name.
Brilliant.
For this week. No guarantees about next week.
No.
I may not be cognizant boy next week. I may be goofy and unrelatable boy next week. Oh, look out, criminal scum. It's unrelatable boy. And that doggone it. Woof. I wouldn't be Wolf Boy.
No.
But we do love that little pup. People like us.
Guy, I used to hate facial hair, but then it grew on me.
Didn't give me a chance.
And
so you can all go home and there's nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on home and go home.